All right, mate. You good?
Hello, everybody. So I'll just navigate the technology. Hello, hello. Is everybody waving frantically at me? So, so my name is Paul, and I'm going to give you a recovery story. I hope you can all hear me. Thumbs up if you can. Cool. Okay, so I'm in my mid-50s, shaving a couple of years off, and I was born and bred in Bristol. I've moved away a few times for college and different things, but I've always come back to Bristol. I reside in the city centre, and I've been around substances since the early 80s. So I was an intravenous drug user not very long after my first drinking spliff, really. So in about 1983. So I was an IV user for about 38 years of my life, so my entire adult life. Okay. I didn't even consider seriously getting into any kind of recovery until my life became unmanageable in 2019. So I've written a few notes down, but I'll ad hoc a little bit as well, just to give it a bit more content. Okay. So for 20 years of that time, I was an intravenous amphetamine user, and including party drugs and everything else. And I was never a very good criminal, but I was always all about the substances. And so obviously, you know, I was never very good in relationships, family, that sort of thing. I was off as soon as I was able to leave home. Following a messy divorce in the early 80s, I was off, you know, hedonistic, you know, escape from reality, lack of responsibility. All that was extremely seductive, you know. So, so on top of that 20 years of intravenous amphetamine use, I was also about 18 years on Class A drugs like crack and heroin, and intravenously using cocaine on top of the heroin as well towards the end, because my vascular system had begun to shut down on me. I'm lucky to have the use of my right leg still. It's just one of my many consequences. So I don't remember any specific trauma before I began using, but being brought up in the 70s wasn't ideal. You know, very dysfunctional upbringing. I was the oldest of 4 siblings, and I've got no real excuses for why I started using. On one side of my family, they were communists. The other side, they were police officers and Air Force. So I don't know what went wrong with me. But I just wanted to feel different, to escape my reality. And so my trauma, it may have been sort of incremental during childhood, but really I just wanted to escape my reality, okay? So I had a handful of occasions during later years where I attempted to connect with services, but I wasn't very committed. I didn't really want to stop. I got quite comfortable in my own mess of using, and the connections that I'd made over the decades, you know, kept me quite physically and mentally sick. Obviously, a lot of that doesn't really become apparent until you get some recovery time. So from around 2016, I'd say, my health and lifestyle consequences were becoming unsustainable. The violence that came with what I had to do to maintain my supply, abominable things, you know, that I won't go into now, no war stories here. And but physical consequences, health, organs failing, blood stop making platelets, you know, and all this horrible stuff that happens to an addict were happening very, very quickly during my last decade or so of using. And by 2016, I was on my second bout of Hep C. I almost, as I've said, lost my right leg. I had pleurisy a couple of times from smoking crack cocaine, pneumonia a couple of times from smoking crack cocaine. So I then just continued to use intravenously. So, but I was waking up every day thinking to myself, well, if there's a higher power or God, or whatever your understanding is of something beyond ourselves, you know, I've been kind of playing Russian roulette every couple of hours for like nearly 40 years of my life, you know, and if I'm still around when I've lost so many of my dear friends, some of them very recently, then obviously there's supposed to be a plan for me, you know. So anyway, I was quite unmanageable. I wasn't keeping my appointments and stuff like that, but the intent was there. I was getting needle exchanges at Bristol Drugs Project and just offloading my stuff literally at the same time inappropriately as I was collecting my clean equipment and stuff like that. And that's how I started initially to connect with services. So there was no sense of desperation to begin with. It was just I liked the idea of not being a druggie anymore. Point. So, during one of my increasingly frequent hospital stays, I was offered a second chance at doing treatment for Hep C using the new treatment, as I'd already done the interferon treatment around the millennium. And it was successful, but back then the technology wasn't great, and it had since I'd tested positive again since that time. So because I was now connecting with other people, hospital people and people within the drug services and stuff, this gave me the added motivation to sort my health and lifestyle out. I mean, I'm not getting any younger, and I began connecting more frequently with DHI groups running at BDP, like mutual aid groups such as Smart Recovery, and becoming more sort of present at Cocaine Anonymous groups. So in early 2019, I realised I'd been using against my will pretty much, and things were becoming unmanageable. I was literally having to get permission from my dealers to attend appointments, to attend doctor's appointments. And, that's my story. And I managed to get a bed in the ACE unit, detox unit, Blackberry Hill, at the beginning of 2019. And I was absolutely awful in groups. I was acting out all over the place. I wanted to be there, but I didn't want to be there. But I managed to stick it out till the end. And it was a week or two later, I got a place in a residential treatment centre. It was CBT holistic mixed rehab. And I was very, very naive in recovery. And I thought rehab was where pop stars went when they'd taken too many drugs and to reset. I still hadn't had the maturity to realise, how sort of bad things had gotten. So I did everything like I knew best. I heard part of Chris's share earlier, and we do think that because we've survived a great deal of time out there in chaos, that we are survivors and we always know best. But experience also tells me that this isn't actually the truth. And so I did everything against suggestion. I'll leave that you guys to take from it what you will, but everything that I was advised not to do, apart from using, I essentially did. And so you can probably imagine, I didn't have any understanding of the recovery jargon. I had to pick that up by attending a lot of groups and meetings and stuff like that incrementally. I mean, I didn't really ever use the word mindfulness in a sentence before I went to treatment. I'd never been in and out of treatment. I served a long sentence years ago and had some connection with the drug services in the institution. That was like 17, 18 years ago now. But I never took it seriously. It was just tick boxing exercises. So anyway, so I got sent back to Bristol from this treatment centre, and I used when I got back to Bristol, because I didn't really have my brain sort of downloaded, and I ended up with severe kidney failure. Not everybody that uses drugs ends up overdosing. With me, it's organ failure. So my kidneys failed immediately. The heroin was cut with fentanyl, and I wasn't very well at all. So for 3 days, there's no pretty nurse with methadone first thing in the morning and something for breakfast. It was hell watching the clock for 3 days and having to reevaluate my situation. So I managed to stay clean then for about another 16 months. So I had 4 months used and then another 16. And it was during the darkest time of lockdown following the Christmas New Year period. I used a couple of times in the space of a week. So I'm just coming up to 9 months clean again now. And I've taken my recovery a lot more seriously. As I've had more time in recovery, things are starting to make more sense to me. And a lot of the stuff that people told me when I was only half listening come back into my mind when I need them. And I've had a lot of support, DHI especially, for me. were my main support. You know, they didn't judge me for using or relapsing or acting out. You know, they've been really supportive. BDP used to put up with me when I was chaotic, and I've never used Aura, so I can't, you know, can't really comment on other agencies. But so I did my peer support training for DHI following that last horrific hospital experience. And so I was then able to support other people, doing first contact calls and telephone support and stuff like that. And at the same point in time, I also started doing stuff for the Hep C Trust as well. Much with them now, but I certainly was doing as much as I could in the beginning. But I did take on rather a lot for somebody that's so new in recovery after being so away from reality for so much of my life, really. So I did struggle in lockdown. I'm more comfortable now, but I do a lot more variety of things to enrich my life now. So I do other voluntary work outside the drug agencies. I like fishing. I'm a bass guitarist. I'm in a band. The other members of the band are also in recovery. And I'm also doing a lot of in-house training and stuff to do with higher education. Now, I am, believe it or not, after hearing my story, college educated to diploma level, but like I didn't really do anything except subversive stuff with that knowledge. And so I'm trying to make myself a better person. And I wish I'd have set a stopwatch, because I now know not how long I've been talking for. Mikey, help. I've got another 3 minutes. Okay, so I can't thank DHI enough, really. I mean, it's not the same staff, but the same core people that were supporting me in the beginning are still available to me. I see regularly, you know. I do a couple of Cocaine Anonymous meetings, you know, because I like to feel the connectivity. I work a rubbish program, but somebody once told me not many people work a perfect one. So, but I am taking it more seriously now. I do realise my own thinking is what kept sick. And what I took from my relapse back in January was it gave me some additional knowledge about myself. You know, I've been white knuckle recovery for a long time in that lockdown, where I was batting back any sort of support and any kind of like positive connections. I'm all right. I don't need you lot. I'm going to the gym. I'm cooking food for myself. You know, I'm not taking drugs. What do you want from me? You know, and I started getting very angsty, and it was like you almost revert to the day you started using, sort of. So it's almost like I became a teenager again. So yeah, so it's not a fantastic story of my past, but it's certainly a very positive story about my future. I've done health and social care, various things in house, you know, and several bits of paper for this and that, you know, all demonstrating an awareness that I've gained through the support that I've been receiving. So I don't really know what I can add to that, to be honest with you, except for I'm extremely grateful to everybody that supported me all the way through my journey, both in the rooms and in the recovery services in Bristol.